Alright, in this video basically I'm going to show you how to glaze and the different techniques for glazing. As you can see, I have some panels here. These are some kitchen door panels, and the first technique, what I'm going to do is basically just highlight the edges. So these edges right here, the ones inside, these edges right here, I'm actually not going to do it. I'm going to leave only to match the other doors, but you could, if you wanted to, glaze this as well, and this would stick out. But mostly I'm going to be focusing on these lines right here on the inside and the one on the outside, the edge. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to put the glaze on the base coat that's already here, and then I'm going to wipe it out, so it's not going to be the same color when I'm done with it. There is going to be a little bit of the glaze on the paint left on the paint. Basically all we're going to do is just highlight the edges. These edges right here, those edges right there. The one in the middle I'm going to leave alone. I'm not going to highlight to match what I already have. So the first thing obviously was to paint the cabinet with the base coat, which is already painted. Make sure it's dry. So let's go ahead and apply our glaze. Okay, the glaze that I'm using is this rust-Oleum transformation glaze. There's different glazes. This one is just Java brown. And on the can you can see what it was before and what it is after. You can kind of see it's basically the same thing. You know, if you lay the glaze on the base coat, it'll change the color and or highlight. As you can see right here, you can highlight the edges too. So that's one of the techniques you're going to do. So let's get to it. So again, that's the first step, is painting or giving it your top coat. And we just did that with our panels, and we're ready for glazing. We'll let that one dry. Alright, so now the way I'm going to apply this, this rust-Oleum decorative glaze that I'm using, is going to be with one of these little foam brushes. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the glaze, and then I'm going to come here and highlight the edge, highlight all the edges all around, and same thing here on the inside corners. And then once I have the excess, I'll just go ahead and wipe it off with a damp rag. And we'll do the inside corners first. Basically this is all you want to do. Just get it in there. Don't worry if you get it outside the edge, because then we'll come back with a rag, and what we'll do is we'll clean out the excess. But basically you want to get it in here too, because I want to highlight that inside edge, or that inside line as well. And you can go ahead and kind of do that right there, just to get the glaze in there, in the groove. Okay, here you go. Like I said, don't worry about excess. I mean, you don't want to go too crazy with it, but the excess you can always wipe out. And once you put it in there, you want to let it sit there for a little bit. That way it can kind of get in those grooves and kind of dry a little bit, and then you can just wipe it out, wipe out the excess. And no, I'm not going to highlight this edge right here, just the inside edge and then the outside. Alright, you can see this panel is done. I did the outside and then highlighted all those edges, and then I did the inside. Now this is not exactly perfect. You can see some of the spots have more glaze than others. But like I said, I'm going to let it sit there for about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to wipe this out with a damp rag, leaving just the glaze on those edges, the inside and the outside. So this is one of the techniques that you can do, like I said before, just to highlight the edges, and that's basically what we're doing now. You can see I did it all around. So let's let it dry a little bit for a couple of minutes here, 3-4 minutes. Alright, so I have a wet paper towel here, and what I'm going to do next is use this to wipe the excess, and just go lightly over it and wipe it. So just basically like that, with very little pressure. You don't want to go too much, because then you wipe some of it out right there. So you can just go back and fix that afterwards. I'm kind of doing this one hand while I'm holding the camera, so it's a little tougher. But you can see what's starting to happen here. Now I'm just going over the top with a rag just to clean it up, because I don't want this to have the glaze, this top part. So basically just cleaning it out and removing it where I don't want it and keeping it where I want it, which is the edges. and you just got to work it until you have that desired look. In my case, it's just going to be the edges, and you can see the edges are highlighted, but I'm cleaning the excess off. You can see the corners here have a little bit more. We'll just go ahead and get that out. Alright, so there you have it. I'm happy with this. Might clean a little bit off the corner there, but you can see the difference between the non-glazed and then the glazed, and it's totally different. It looks more antique, and it did change the color a little bit. Give it more of a tint to it, so it's not as bright, and it's exactly what I was looking for. And that's one of the techniques, is just to highlight the edges. And now the final step for this is there's going to have to be a clear coat to seal in the glaze. The glaze will dry, but you really need a clear coat to bring it all out and make the glaze and the top coat uniformed, and protect both the top coat and the glaze, and it'll really make it pop. So the next important step after you glaze the cabinets is to protect them with some kind of top coat. In this case, I'm using this rust-Oleum semi-gloss clear. And what it's going to do is, on these panels that we put the gloss on, any imperfections, any ridges, it's going to fill it in, and you're going to see these lines kind of disappear here. But you need that to protect the finish of the glaze, and that's very important. You can paint it on the top coat. In this case, I'm just going to spray it on. You really want to give it a good spray and really get it in there. And we'll see here how you can see that wood grain. Once I use this clear, it's going to fill that in. That's going to disappear. You can see that it basically fills in. Alright, and you can see this is one of the cabinets that I've done already in the kitchen. You can basically see all around the edges here that it's been glazed all over the place, and then I did apply a clear coat, and that's important. Once you do this, you want to apply a clear coat to the glazing. So you can see I didn't highlight the middle edge there, the raised panel. I didn't highlight, just around the corners and the inside. But that's the finished look once you glaze it. So here I have a plastic gutter, nothing special, just a plastic gutter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a base coat, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of the glaze to make it look like a wood gutter. There's different things you can do, and this is one of them. So I'm just going to spray my base coat, and once this is dry, about 15 minutes or so. Alright, and that's going to be my base. And then what I'm going to do once this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and apply the glaze. So here we have a metal table that I sprayed with that same paint for the base coat, and then I went ahead and glazed it, and I just brushed the glaze on to create these lines, so it has the appearance, it looks like wood. So there's different things you could do. You can see I just basically brushed it on, and that's what I'm going to do on that piece of gutter that I just gave a base coat to. Okay, so now that this is dry, and basically we have our base coat there, I'm going to go ahead and dip this brush here in the glaze, and I'm going to brush it on. I just got a little bit, and basically we'll just brush it on like this. This is hard to do with one hand, but we're going to get some of this excess out. And then it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but trying. And then you can see what's happening here. Once it dries, it's going to look like it's a piece of wood, and that's basically how we did that table. Again, there's different things that you can do. This is just on a piece of plastic. with grooves in it. Obviously, if you did it on a flat piece, it would look better, but that's just an example of how you can make certain things look like wood. So here's the end result. It's not fully dry yet, but you can see you can go ahead and make it look like wood grain. And that's how I achieved that look on that table. But it's just basically by taking the brush and brushing it on, brushing the glaze on.